Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really tough situation. What happens when a trained clinician, who is also an expectant mother, feels like she has to run to protect her baby, but she might be running away from the one person who can actually keep them safe? It's a complex and deeply human story, so let's get right into it.
So first, let's get to know the person at the center of all this. We're going to call her Clara, and as you can see from her own words, she is incredibly thoughtful and dedicated. For her, this isn't just a career. Being a helper, a learner, an advocate, well, it's at the very core of who she is.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're breaking this down into 5 parts. First, we'll get into that powerful mother's instinct that's driving everything. Then we'll explore how our professional strength can actually become a weakness. We're also going to look at a pattern from the past, weigh the evidence between a stable life and a chaotic one, and then finally talk about a path forward that rethinks what independence really means.
Okay, to really get what's going on, we have to start in her shoes. Her actions might look confusing from the outside, but they're not coming from nowhere. They're coming from a deep, powerful, and primal place. You know, she's a clinician, sure, but right now she's an expectant mom first.
And what's really key here is something she's actually written about in her academic work, her own personal history with housing insecurity. So, you can imagine, when she even thinks her home is under threat, her brain just goes into overdrive. It's something called survival resilience. Basically, her entire system is screaming one thing: protect the baby at all costs. It's pure fight or flight.
And you have to understand, that instinct gets supercharged by her professional training. I mean, look at these values. Her whole world is built around advocating for the vulnerable, respecting their choices, and getting them support. So when her personal alarm bells go off, her professional ethics are right there, ringing right alongside them, telling her to do one thing: protect.
In her mind, she's escaping a bad situation to save her child. She's the hero, the advocate. But, and this is the question that changes everything, what if her assessment is just wrong? What if the vulnerable people she's decided to protect are actually the ones causing all the danger?
And that question, it takes us right into our next section. We're going to explore how a clinician's best quality, that empathy, that drive to help, can twist into a trap.
So there's this concept we're calling the helper's blind spot. It's this thing that happens with really empathetic people, especially in helping professions. You hear a victim's story and you immediately jump to their side. It's totally natural, but it can create a massive blind spot, making you miss what's really going on.
So here's how the trap was set. The husband's siblings came to Clara with a story. They painted themselves as the victims of their big, successful, quote-unquote, strict brother. Now, for someone like Clara, who's trained to start where the client is, her first move is always going to be to listen, to believe them, to validate what they're saying. Their story was practically tailor-made to hook her professional instincts. But here's where it all falls apart. You've got Clara's core professional value right here: respect, autonomy. But then you have the siblings' actions. We've seen the messages. They literally tried to call a family Zoom meeting to stage an intervention in her marriage. I mean, how do you square that circle? How can a person who champions independence align herself with people who are so willing to trample all over it?
And here's the thing. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. To really get the full picture, we've got to look back. There's a history here, a pattern that is just impossible to ignore.
This exact dynamic of siding with someone who seems like a victim and doing it against her husband's more clinical judgment, it has a name. We need to talk about the Leo incident.
Let's just walk through what happened. So, Event 1, Leo, the brother-in-law, quits medical school, saying he's totally overwhelmed. Event 2, Clara immediately sees him as a vulnerable victim who needs her support. Event 3, her husband, Alex, who's a surgeon, steps back and expresses some more objective clinical concerns. And for months, they're at odds over this. Until Event 4, when Clara finally realizes that Alex's calm, rational assessment was right all along. And just look at this message from Alex to his family at the time. Look at the language he's using. It's so calm. It's clinical. He's talking about capacity and admission criteria. He isn't trying to control his brother. He's assessing the situation, like the trained professional he is. He's trying to ground everyone in reality, not emotion.
So, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is she walking right back into the same exact mistake? Is she hearing a calm, rational call for accountability and misinterpreting it as abuse? The scary part is, this time, the stakes are so much higher. This isn't just about a family disagreement. This is about her marriage, her home, and the future for her baby. Which brings us to our next section. Let's try to push the emotional stories to the side for a second and just look at the hard evidence. And let's use the same standards that Clara herself uses in her own academic research.
Okay, this is wild. In one of her own papers, Clara points out that for parents in crisis, two of the absolute biggest strengths you can have are partner support and access to resources. So if you go by her own professional findings, her husband isn't the problem. He is literally the solution. He's the textbook definition of the support system she needs.
Alex actually came up with this really powerful metaphor to describe the situation. He called the stable, secure life they built together the oak house, and he called the siblings' constant undermining and drama the termites, secretly chewing away at the foundation of everything they have.
So let's be crystal clear about what the oak house actually is. We're talking about a stable home, financial security, health insurance. By any objective measure, it is the exact supportive environment that Clara's own research says is absolutely vital for a new parent. Alex is the one who built and protects that house.
So what now? The point of all this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about trying to find a way forward. It's about figuring out the difference between real, healthy independence and the kind of isolation that just leaves you vulnerable.
So here's what a path forward could look like, just based on the facts. Step 1, take a hard look and re-identify who the actual threat is. It's not the stable partner, it's the agents of chaos. Step 2, create some real, hard boundaries with those people. Step 3, start working with her partner, who is the source of stability. And from there, from that safe place, she can build the real, lasting independence she's looking for.
And let's be really clear here. This isn't about submitting. Not at all. This is about collaborating. It's about using the strength of their partnership to get to a shared goal, the safest possible home for their child. Real independence isn't built by yourself on a shaky foundation. It's built on top of a secure one.
The desire to break a cycle is a powerful, noble thing. But breaking the cycle shouldn't mean you have to burn down the safe house you're already in. It just means you have to find the termites that are chewing it up from the inside and get them out.
And so the final thought we want to leave you with is this. In this whole story, Clara is terrified of fire. But maybe, just maybe, she's got the arsonist wrong. Alex isn't the one holding the match. He's the one holding the fire extinguisher, trying desperately to save the home they built together.